the deified deity of your dreams, fastly fabricating your RPG fantasies into reality. Go ahead, get the burn on your imagination, unleash unto your collection. Within the Ring of Fire, get your books. First 4 books are drivethrurpg.com. Do it now. You get a PDF bundle. All the books in PDF that will ever be released for Within the Ring of Fire from your main man. First 4 books are out. Next book coming out. Engage in the greatest RPG ever. And get your experience on. Level up your mind like never before today. RPG! Horror stories. That's right. Back. The most popular series you can imagine. Full of fun, fright, and utter foolishness. I'm talking about the 74 armor classes. I'm talking about When Familiars Attack. I'm talking about RPG horror stories. And today, maybe, just maybe, the most disturbing thing I've ever seen in an RPG. And remember, I'm the man that watched a gully dwarf hump a tree. That's right. That's the kind of RPG splendor and talents I've been associated with over my long and illustrious career as a game master. So, having said that, we move far forward in the realms of bizarre perversion, and I'm going to procure these pictures into your mind frame, not for children. If you are under 18, I would highly advise you do not watch this, because I will deal with very adult themes just by the simple nature and description of what it is. And yes, this is a video I was talking about on Facebook Pro, provided for your mind, and we're going to be talking about those shenanigans just now. Now, I've been playing Conan D20. I guess it's like a 3rd edition clone with a large number of different sort of house rules kind of thrown into it by Mongoose Publishing with my man Frank. He's been running it. I've been playing for, I don't know. We've played for quite a few game sessions now. I know some of you keep up with that on Facebook, and you can join your main man on Facebook. Follow me and see all those wonderful RPG quips and information to keep yourself in the loop with your main man. Now, we're playing the game, right? And this guy playing, go by name of Larry Lloyd, the Lord of Amazing Dude. Call him what you will. He's playing a game before that. He was playing all kinds of foolishness. Stole all my character's treasure. Was just doing all kinds of ridiculous things and shenanigans. And I'm like, all right, whatever. You know, we kept rock and rolling. I'll come back. And he seems to be in a mindset which I really strongly recommend. If you are in this mindset, you quickly shake yourself of it and divest yourself entirely of such shenanigans and mind ideas. Should you attempt to play one of my games, because you will not make it very far. But his mindset, from what I've noticed from playing, and from what I've noticed so far, what I noticed of you, Larry, when you watch it seems to think that everything can be killed, like that everything is weaker than him. Like he'd have a very, very good chance of beating anything. So that creates all kinds of problems. Now, Frank had this NPC, you know, straight up on fantasy Frank stock character. He's this black dude that's unbelievably big. He's like, think of the Hulk, like the Hulk, son. He's like the Hulk. You know, so Fresh Runner games, he can go absolutely wild, right up with the kind of character they play. So he's this black guy from the what they call the Black Kingdoms, the Ivory Coast, call it what you will, or Dolfarian, I believe, from the Conan setting. And his character, I think, goes about 8'11" and 3/4 inches tall. And I'm not kidding. That's not hyperbole. That's really, so I mean, he's trying to allude that maybe this guy has something else in him, you know, whatever. Now Larry's character was about 7 foot tall, which, you know, right off the bat, that's kind of, you know, my character is like a generous 5'11", and but still, I mean, you 7 foot tall, right? And someone is like 8'11". That's like a foot, almost 2 feet taller than you. You know, so maybe you sell a little bit there. And I'm gonna go through the whole thing here, because there are multiple levels and incidents of foolishness. And this definitely needs to be chronicled for future generations, and for you right now, you tonight. So Larry calls up this character named Karsh, again, like damn near 9 foot tall, unbelievably massive, with probably enormous amounts of levels. And his character's a barbarian. Uh, Even though he should clearly have had pirate levels as well, those did not seem to be on his character sheet, at least from what I have been told, or what I have clearly witnessed by observations, not by looking at his character sheet, because I don't be sheet gazing. But he's playing this guy who has this big boat coming down, and all right, whatever. So he's challenges Karsh. Like he had gotten this like magic spear, and Frank said there have been like 2 magic items in the game so far. And the spear, I mean, it seems pretty, pretty awesome. In fact, even to the Karsh guy, it's like too big for him. So you see what kind of spear it is in Larry's character. I gave it to him. I had that spear. I was like, well, I mean, here, take this, I guess. And I had been having dreams and visions because I worship Set. I mean, let's just keep that straight right off the back. I am a sorcerer of Set, much like much like what is it, Thoth Amon, or what about James Earl Jones's Thulsa Doom? You know what I'm saying? I'll be in the Black Order. You best believe that. And that was his request. Look, I need a scholar. I need a royal dude. I said, all right. And we're playing in Shem, so what's right south of the Shem is going to be Stygia. We're going to be Stygian. And I am. And it's opulent. And deluxely opulent, if you understand what I'm meaning. Larry's there. I was up to Karsh, give him the spear. It's like, well, I can't really do a good Larry. So, oops. I gave you this. What am I gonna? He said, I gave you the spear, and I know as a debt of honor, you'll repay me as you see fit for that spear. Karsh's like, whatever. But from the other matter, and just to fast forward back, or to skip back, you understand, the other deal was he he bought, and Conan did a lot of slavery, and my house does lots of slavery. Because we're evil. And he bought this particular slave from us, this pleasure slave who's also kind of an assassin. He bought her. He fell in love with her, I guess, and bought her from the house. And he kind of developed, just whatever NPC, developed it out. So it's like, all right, sure. In fact, I wouldn't even involve, like, that wouldn't even, that's like below my character station, even be involved with that. But one of my major demos was like, sure, we can sell her to you. And he paid a pretty penny for her. Right, so he's got that NPC, and he does whatever with her. So, he is in this big feast, and we're with this other follower Set, and he and I are having this, we're having these issues, and at that point, it's still under the surface, but he seems to really hate Nordheimers. I don't know why. That was never explained. And he's messing with Larry's character, and he just keeps doing these things to him. And then he brings out his pleasure slave, and he brings out Karsh from the gladiator pit, and Karsh basically has Karsh like just bang her out. You know what I mean? So I was like, oh, okay, that's kind of an intense scene. And Larry's character's like made to just watch. And in fact, I mean, I don't know, but they must have done something to prevent him from doing. I can't quite recall what happened there. But anyway, so he wants to get that vengeance on, and Karsh is like, well, I wasn't even like trying to do that. Like I was forced to do that too. And he's like, no, that debt has to be paid. And then Larry starts getting more uppity. He's like, oh, well, you owe me something. And he's like, Karsh's like, well, if you wait like 12 seasons or something like that, you can have my daughter or something like that. And I'm not really sure, if he meant he had knocked up the pleasure slave, or if he had some other daughter as a kid, or I don't know. I'm not really sure. I heard it, but I didn't really understand all the references. When other people have their stuff, I try not to pay as much attention to it, but you couldn't help paying attention to this one. So, he said, no, I can't be waiting 12 seasons. And he's like, well, we're going to do that, man. Basically, it was role played out. It wasn't like that, but, and then he starts saying, yeah, and he has this Pict. Karsh is Dofarian and Pict. Picts are like, I guess they're off like the Pict people, or like the original people of Scotland, and like the Midlothian area, I think, if I have my history right there. And they some of their trappings sort of remind people of like Native American tribes. So the Picts, she's like this Pict princess or something, and Larry's character basically is like, yeah, I mean, you had to let me have her, and he's like, And then Larry like just starts going like really weird. He's like, yeah, I'm gonna take her and I'm gonna rape you too. The car, that was a bad idea. So he did say that. He put that on the line, and then they fought, and they fought, and Larry ends up getting beat down and choked out. But during the thing, man, I had never seen so much yelling and whining and I could do this and that, and there was all the dirty deeds, the cheap tricks were done uh, quite a bit. And I was like, damn. Brother Grievon was sitting by me, and Brother Grievon was like, damn. Brother Grievon was passing me notes and shit while I was going on. And so we're being made to be a party to this demutation having seen. So the very first thing is Karsh tries to intimidate him, which, okay, fair enough, right? I mean, someone intimidates you, you just sell a little bit. You know, I don't see any issue with that at all. You know, in fact, later in the deal, I was selling well hard for Karsh, and my character seems set. Okay, if anybody's not scared of stuff, it's my character. He's terrifying. The things I do to people in that game, let's just say, they ride the wood. There has been much crucifixion and all kinds of things that are disquieting and disturbing, but that's all fair, all par for the course. And Larry is doing this deal where he tries to pre-describe stuff. And don't do this. You read Within the Ring of Fire. I set you quite straight how to do this, and I'm trying to tell them during the deal even, but they're well into it, and it was quite tense between the two of them because he was trying to work it over. You gotta do when you're in combat. You go in 3 stages, man. It's declaration, roll, description. I don't want you to describe what you've done and then roll. There's no point in that. Okay, I did this, and this, and you're like, okay. And now roll the 1. No, just tell me you're trying to punch the guy. Tell me you're trying to give the man a boot. Tell me, something really quick and really simple. I'm gonna try to grapple him. I'm gonna try to hit him with my sword. I'm gonna try to scoop slam a man. Whatever it is, just so I know what sort of difficulties to give you on the dice. That's all your declaration is. And rolling, we get that roll on. Then you can describe it. Describe the spectacular failure or the tremendous success or the barely missing him or you just barely got that side headlock in. Whatever it is, describe it based on your roll. That's really important. That really helps add the flavor and the life to it, and it supports and sustains the use of game mechanics and also saves you a hell of a lot of time. So, but a lot of times, people will try to describe ahead of time, well, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, and I'm going to do this, and I'm going to do that. So they get that little advantage. You go, oh, well, I guess I had to give you a bonus, or okay, you take a penalty, but if you make it, oh boy, do you, it ain't like that. That cool, weird thing you want to do, that's all based off hit points. Like when you drop that dude's hit points, or you drop that dude's health gauge, or whatever, that's when you can. In fact, in D20 games, it's difficult to do because they do hit points, health gauge, a health score is like a Session White Wolf. D20 does it so poorly. In fact, all Dungeons & Dragons do it so poorly that you don't really have that mark. When at what point can you say, okay, I've broken all his fingers? At what point can you say, okay, I've chopped off his arm? This sort of thing. So it creates a problem. Which of course with the Ring of Fire mechanically we handle that one as well. So he's trying to, I grab one finger and start single joint manipulating, and he tried to bring me in there like, oh, ask Andrew about it. I'm like, yeah, asking me about this scene, well, that's how we're gonna go way back. And the very first thing he's completely no sells. Like he's throwing a fit about this intimidation. And I was like, come on, Larry, just sell. That's it. The dude made an intimidation roll, and he's like, well, I'm from a Nordic culture, so I have no fear of dying on the battlefield. I'm like, that's not how that is at all. Not even close. From a Nordic culture, go see how Nordic culture works in terms of Jarls, which you didn't do that one right, did you? So he's basically trying to come up with any reason you don't have to sell. He's trying to say, I should have he's trying to convince Faye to give him an immunity to fear because he has some stupid grip sword in the teeth, which is incredibly weak ability to get barbarians, but it's like a cinematic thing. You're like, you stick the, you dive in the water. Yeah, it's just supposed to be a cool little cinematic bit for you. It's not supposed to be powerful. And he argues, well, I haven't used that. I should get that. I should get immunity fear. Well, I don't even know if he said it, but he was, he was very clear what he was going for. And Frank's like, well, okay, and they stopped the combat, and this took minutes. And he's like, well, I'll give you could lose that, and I'll give you a +2 bonus to fear, which is already that thing isn't worth a +1 bonus to fear saves. But you know, +2 bonus. Like, oh, that still doesn't help. And it's like, well, dude, you just sell. And he just almost wouldn't. In fact, I don't think he sold at all. Even after like continuous explanation for Frank, he wasn't selling. He wasn't fin to sell, and his excuses were just not valid. So everybody should sell. Everyone should be afraid of things sometimes. I've played characters that would have well better reasons to not sell than his character, and I certainly was selling each and every time, just the way I ought to. So, okay, so Larry argues about that deal, and it's like a fight practically, and he's up and pacing back and forth. He tells he's really getting pissed off, and he's mixing between being really whiny and being really aggressive, and trying to rules lawyer, and trying to like be a narrative hijacker. So there were a lot of problems there. And I was just like, oh, can you just get this done with? Because I have actual entertaining things I want to do. And that's what we need to get to. That's where you need to focus your story, baby. MVP RPG, not not some annex actions like that. That was not entertaining, except for wrong reasons. Okay, so the fight goes on, and this Karsh guy just beating the living shit out of his character. I think he got in like nothing. And then of course he tries to go to that old gimmick fate points. You know, there's a fate points in the system. He's like, oh, I'm gonna spend a fate point and gouge the guy's eyes out and make it permanently blind. And I just couldn't take any more at that point. So I had to jump in. I said, look, man, that's about 100 times more powerful than what a fate point can do for you. You could keep your ass from getting killed right now. That's what you do with a fate point. You know, you're not just ripping somebody's eyes out. And then second of all, the way it's described, this dude's like almost 2 feet taller than you. He has you down, pressed against the ground like that. His arm is stretched out. It's very describing it, and he's choking you. How the hell are you getting to his eyes, dude? You're like, I mean, it's not happening. You know, his reach is so much more than yours. He's 2 foot taller than you, so you're just not doing it, man. And he eventually goes out, and there's a big argument at this point when he gets choked out. But then, you know, so it's over to me, and I get like a message like, oh, on the other side of the castle, you're this army, you know, just a far in the Karsh, you know, there's some problems over there, you know, X, Y, and Z. So I'm like, oh. So I'm like, all right, well, I need to sell this because my character definitely, he's kind of working for me, and I definitely don't trust him, you know, just because he's been very savage and feral the way he's sort of come across to me, and he could clearly just rip me apart. So I get a whole bunch of it. He's like, how many will you take? I was like, as many as I think will fit in the room. So we go in there, and they start showing me like the things that are kind of disrespectful. So I'm like running all that up in my mind, and I get over to him. When I get to him, he's balls deep inside Larry's slave, and Larry's character's laying there like on a chair or something like that, unconscious, with a big purple marks all over his throat for me and choked out. And this dude's just right in there. My character's like he's amazingly perverted. So he's like talking to Karsh just while he's doing it. I'm like, oh my. And I'm looking at her, and he's, you know, beating it up. So he pulls out, and he goes over to Larry's character and just skeets all over he smacks him and then skeets all over his face. And I was like, I've never seen that before. Just in a normal game, you know. I was like, oh my God. And I'm looking at Larry like, damn, I actually feel bad for you now, Larry. You just got skated on from, like, you know, this enormous black dick. I mean, that's the way it's described, is like, you know, enormous, like passport star big, you know. So I'm sitting there like, at Brother Grievon, sitting there like, oh, we're just watching, and Larry goes nuts. He's yelling about, oh, well, I'm dead, but you could deface the body, da da da. You know, that's what you do. But I'm dead, because he's trying to also say that Larry's character's still alive, and I'm trying to negotiate to get his character, you know, get him out of there. I'm like, oh boy, you know, and not get killed, because Karsh's talking about, oh, I'll keep doing this to him until it's no longer pleasurable for me. I'm like, okay. And then Karsh claimed his woman too. He took her, like, you know, that was going to be his slave. So I was like, And technically, I couldn't do anything about it, the rules of honor and so forth, because she had belonged to the house, but it was sold her to her, so it was his slave. He defeated Larry's character, so I was like, okay. And I did think, because I can, I have some enchantments. I was like, man, but when I do my enchantments, my eyes turn like serpentine. I'm like, I could enchant him right now, but his princess queen over there he's built her up like she's supposed to be some badass archer. I'm like, damn, I'm gonna take 2 to the throat. I'm gonna get him, because my character probably could beat the guy, because I don't care if he's 40th level, as we'll save him that baller. And my enchantments, it's not that hard to use an enchantment with a half a brain to easily defeat anyone. So I'm looking at him. I'm debating what I need to do here. He's powerful. I'm gonna turn his army against me. Do I need to help this character? A lot's going through my mind, and I eventually am able to get my guards. And one of the guards he'd done something to irritate me just ever so slightly, and I was about to break his finger. It was a lesson, so I made him him and one of the other guys like pick him up, because he's all he's befouled and defiled as a man, and it was a crazy deal. But when he got brought back, and Larry's doing this the whole time, his eyes shut, arms over the chest, it was weird, man. It was weird. Because he did that for I don't know, an hour, literally, without them eyes open, just and thrown the head all the way back on the joint. So he was not happy. Okay, fair enough. You understand that and understand why, I suppose. But at the end of, and after he got skis on, he took the character sheet, folded up, and just started ripping it up. He ripped up his character sheet. And Frank's trying to say he was dead, and he's like, no, you can befoul the body all you want. If that's what you want to do, that's on you. But he's dead. He's dead. He's dead. And that's what happened for real. And I was just like, damn. And I'm looking at Brother Grievon, and Brother Grievon looking at me. And, well, it was entertaining. And then, I want to make sure I get this right. But I know, so I think it was at this point Larry starts walking up on Frank, like he's about to do something, like he's about to just rock off on Frank, and I think that's what's going on in the minds. I'm like, ooh, what's going on happen here? So I think we're about to be a fight over the role play game character, and Larry doesn't drive, so Frank had to go pick him up, and Frank had to drive him back. So Brother Grieve and I just sit there laughing. We're just sitting there laughing, having a good old time about what that car ride must be like. Apparently, Larry was yelling at Frank about this and the other thing. That is probably the most disgusting RPG horror story, the most perverted RPG horror story that I have seen. The man literally got choked out and then got his face dick whipped and blasted on with like a gallon of jizz. And talked about how it just be sparkling and just off the face while he's getting his pleasure slave taken. And it was intense. It was dark. It was perverted. It was disturbing. And that was my Sunday night. So one more for the Vault, Fable Vault RPG horror stories. Featuring Larry Lloyd, Frank Melvin up in the RPG horror story deal. But yeah, I mean, the moral of the story is don't tell not a tall black savage from Dolfar that you're going to rape him, because bad things will happen to you. Apparently, very, very bad things. Particularly with that character, is very much clear that the game master's that's what he likes to play. So it was very clear that you need to sell for that character, not just try to roll up on him. That character was going to be a bad man. Particularly if you're a fighter, and that's a fighter, and that fighter's way up here. You need to back up off. You can maybe come in with sorcery, maybe coming in with long projectiles, but definitely not just roll up on him and try to wrestle him. You will be dealt with directly. And that's just the style that Frank likes to bring an employee into a game. So that character had all those feats. You knew he had all those feats. All the physical, brawling, punching, wrestling, grappling, choking, strangling, whatever kind of feats you're gonna have, plus extra feats made up, plus intimidating and free action feats. And he had that in there. He's like, and I was like, oh, how did he do that? He's like, oh, I have a feat that I made up. He said, I have a feat. You can do that. And I said, oh, you made that one up? He said, yeah. I said, I can take it? And he said, yeah. So guess what your boy's doing as a free action? Boom, intimidate. And I roll with like an enormous intimidation bonus because I do really bad things. And people know about it. But besides that, as an RPG horror stories, let me know what you think in the box below. Let me know if you have seen something more diabolical, devious than that. And it's not just some silly laugh around beer chips like that. It's a real serious role-play game. But it gets dark. Frank is a very dark, very, very dark sense of humor. and that definitely came to the forefront. And after all, I mean, Larry, you called him out on it. You know, I would not have said that to Frank. I mean, we all know we call Frank Larry. Come on now. You do not say something like that to him. I was like, oh, that's the worst thing you could have said. So I'm thinking that's going to go wrong. And I didn't know how wrong it was going to go. It was wrong with this long. And Larry took the ding dong. So, but yeah, he got mad. He ripped up that character sheet. I guess he threw it in the garbage can. He's yelling about how that character not coming back. He's dead. Like somehow you get to decide if a character's dead or not. And it was a test. Like I said, it was fit to be a fist fight, fisticuffs up in the joint. And this is a couple days ago. So I'm like, whoa! I didn't know none of this stuff, but you know, there are definitely some shenanigans and actions and hijinks that I did not approve of and will be visited upon future times. But it was a lot of no selling, and a lot of crazy, but a lot of crazy, a lot of crazy revenge. But again, I mean, if you call it out, if that's what you put on the line, if you say you're gonna do that, I mean, it happens to you, you know. Sorry, but that's what happens, man. Remember, your main man _RPG on Twitter. Follow me on Facebook, and you get all the updates on the bizarre and horrifying things through the RPG world that I am forced to endure on a nightly basis. I'm your main man. Remember to get your copies of Within the Ring of Fire. Get those books on your holiday wish list, and you will forever be blessed with RPG goodness.